Good morning. We're here at Netco Title again for a Tuesday morning coaching session. And this morning we have two industry leaders dealing with HUD homes. So we've got Melissa from Superior Realty that's going to be giving our first presentation today and just giving you a general overview of what HUD houses are, how the programs work. And then also we have Michelle Krubaugh from Planet Home Lending, and she's going to give us some information about financing and how to do the $100 down lending program that HUD is offering. So without further ado, we'll get Melissa up here to go through the HUD houses with us.
Thank you.
Canned applause.
Okay, good morning. I am Melissa, like she said, with Superior Realty. I work for Krichati, the listing broker for HUD, one of them. There's 5 now. As we start here, we'll start with what is a HUD home. There's a lot of people that ask, what is a HUD home? So we will go over that briefly. It's a property that is owned by Housing and Urban Development. Usually when you call in, I will tell you it's owned by the government, but government is broad. It's very sold and as is condition. Get that through your head now. Okay? Sorry, everyone else do that. The previous owner of HUD homes, they defaulted on an FHA loan. So not VA, VAs end up going back to VA. It's the loan of FHA. They default on their FHA loan, and sometimes it'll go back to the bank. The bank will get a certain amount of time to sell them, and then boom, it's back to HUD. I'm always calling agents, hey, because they list for a bank, and I'm like, hey, I need you to get that off because we now have it. They don't even know that we have it already because it's that quick of a process. FHA loans are usually easier, and Michelle will probably tell you, to obtain when you have credit issues. And obviously why we have more HUD homes is because FHA is easy. They already had some credit issues, and then they steamroll and go back down that hill, and then again they're defaulting on a loan. And that's why we have a lot of HUD homes that are a HUD home more than once. We've gotten listings before where we had them like 5 years ago, and here we are again. So they are easier to obtain, and that's why you see usually the FHA $100 down program, which I'm so glad you're going to talk about that, because I usually refer all lending questions to a lender because I am not a lender. People ask me questions like that too. Who can purchase HUD homes? Well, anyone that is not affiliated with HUD. So I cannot purchase a HUD home. My husband cannot purchase HUD home. Anyone that is like directly lined with me can, just like my father-in-law Bassam, his wife cannot purchase a HUD home because we work for HUD. That's one of the things you'll have to ask your buyers when you're going to place a HUD offer. More than likely they probably don't work for HUD, but you should still ask them just to make sure. So anyone that is not affiliated with HUD. So individuals, owner-occupants, investors, businesses, obviously, LLCs, any of those people can purchase HUD homes. When you're financing a HUD property, there's obviously different avenues you can take. Cash, if everyone would purchase with cash, that would be great. That would be so easy. Not for you, Michelle, sorry. Right. But not everyone's gonna have cash, obviously. So there's conventional, obviously. And then there's FHA. FHA has several different loans. So you have the FHA 203B. Then you have FHA 203B with escrow, meaning that the house has some repairs that it needs to be done to bring it up to FHA standards. Again, I generally kind of know what those standards are going to be. So when you're walking through the house, it's kind of a good idea to kind of know what the appraiser is going to, probably call out. Just to give the buyer an example. And HUD has disclosures. They have the property condition report, which you take that with a grain of salt. Remember, the field service management that field feeds these papers out, if you've seen them before, you would know to take what their reports are with a grain of salt. I don't think they know what they're talking about half the time. Shh, don't tell people that. But because they'll say, oh yes, the plumbing is great, and you're like, you turn the water on and like there's a leak and you're like, whoa. So when you're walking through the home, look under the cabinets with the disposal, look at different things because sometimes they miss stuff. The property disclosure will list usually what the appraiser will call out. So you want to look at these forms. You want to have your buyer sign these forms. It's important. Usually, as long as the listing broker is doing their job, they should tell you to do that. I usually tell always, I'm like, you need to get this signed, this signed, this signed, because it covers you. Because again, the buyer's purchasing this property and as is condition, so you want them to be as informed as possible. You don't want to hide anything, obviously. As real estate agents, we don't want to hide anything, period. But with HUD homes, you really want to be like over exaggeration with a lot of things, because again, they're buying in as is condition. They don't really know the condition of the home, neither does the FSM. So the repair escrow, the lender is going to come up with that number with corroboration of what the appraiser calls out, but the disclosure will kind of give you an idea. So 203B with repair escrow, you can do that type of loan when the repairs are under $10,000. Once, oh man, I had to touch it.
That clicker will work too if you want to use that.
I'm afraid to use it because what if I don't know how to use it? Technology challenge. I'm 29 and I'm technology challenged, I know. And then 203K is a rehab loan. It's a more difficult loan. The repairs are over $10,000. And FHA rules change often. Sometimes they change way more quickly than lenders can even keep up with. And they roll out different programs all the time. And so just remember, FHA, when you're doing FHA, the rules will change. It's not always the same every time. So don't get mad at the lender when the lender doesn't know, because they're like, well, this just changed a week ago. Like, I'm trying to keep up here. The one program that has stayed pretty consistent for quite a while now. Okay, so moving on from FHA. VA, I have been doing this for 9 years and we've closed a HUD home with a VA loan twice. And this is why, because the house did not need any repairs, so we were able to close. More than likely, you're not going to find a HUD home that does not need a repair. Usually when people are moving out of their houses, they get very angry because they're getting pushed out, obviously. Half the time you find they're like punching holes in the wall and they're taking everything, like weird stuff too. I'm like, why did you even take that? Like, why? They're going to go sell it, obviously. So VA, only if there's no repairs need to be made on the property, and honestly, I would just tell you, it's not a good idea. Then USDA. USDA, if it's approved. So if we were to go to the HUD website, there's a spot where it says rehabilitation on there, and it's gonna say yes or no. If it's a revitalized area, meaning yes, it should be able to do USDA. But again, you can't have any repairs needing to be made to the home, and it's even more difficult than VA. USDA is it's very difficult, and it makes me angry. I'm like, why are you making loans so hard? Not you guys, but it's just the process. So, usually HUD homes will go, you're doing cash conventional or FHA, usually, unless they have a different loan that they roll out or some type of grant, which is awesome. Note, again, no repairs can be made to the property before closing, and they literally mean like you can't even nail a nail to the house. I mean, they're very serious about this. When you're placing a bid, you do not send me a war contract like we normally do. You place it on the HUD Home Store website. It's very simple. You go to the HUD Home Store website. Most of you are probably just licensed in Kansas, unless you're licensed in Missouri or a different state. You click list state. You literally do not be very specific. Just type in part of the address and it'll find it. If you're really specific, it's like touchy and it won't find it. I don't know why. You use your license number. Do not use your broker's license number, because then your broker's gonna have to send you everything every time. You use your license number and your broker's NAID number. Say someone walks in and you have no idea what your NAID number is and you're like, oh my gosh, don't worry. HUD Home Store, you can go find your broker's NAID number as long as you know the tax ID number for your office, which is on your 1099. So you can find that, and this is the HUD website, very easy. You can always call me if you're worried. Even if it's not our property, I have agents do that all the time. They will call me and it's fine. I would rather you be okay and everything works out great than you're sitting there nervous because you don't know what you're doing. Super easy. You just go in and I will help you do it. You can come to my office. I don't mind. I practically live there. As long as you're okay with the baby. Information needed to place a bid. When you're placing a bid, you need your buyer's full name. Also, if you're an agent and you're buying not to live in, but if it's for investment, they are not going to pay you commission. They started this last year, and I know a lot of agents get angry. So if you want commission, there's ways around it. Figure it out. You know, that people do. So yeah, if you're buying it for investment, you don't get commission. You need the social security number, or if they're a business, their tax ID number. You need their current address. You need their phone number. You need an email address. The financing type, whatever type of financing they're doing. You need obviously the bid amount, and closing costs. HUD will pay up to 3%. You need to know that if you're going to have them pay closing costs, that's going to lower your net to HUD. So that could ruin your chances of winning the bid, but that's okay. Again, you're working for the buyer. Who knows? If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. That's what I tell people. They're like, well, how can we get this? And I'm like, if it's meant to be, it is meant to be. God will give you the bid, or he doesn't. No, I do not know what is, and people call me and they're like, Melissa, how many bids are in? I'm like, I have no idea. I'm like, if I knew, then I would tell all my buyers. So then we would get every bid. I said, I have no idea. Half the time they don't believe me, and I'm like, I swear, I have no idea. I really don't, unless they tell me. And then when agents want to tell me, I'm like, la 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 la, don't tell me what you're offering. Don't tell me, just do it. I'm like, because then I know, and then I feel guilty. Even though I work in the office, I don't even go show. And the title company. It's a buyer select closing state. The buyer pays the closing costs. We don't split 50-50 like we do in regular. So you pick the title company, whatever title company is going to give your buyer the best deals if you guys are working, whatever. So think of it that way. I could not get that darn little arrow to do what I want it to do. So it's going to stay there until we get there. Once a bid is awarded to you. Now, if it's my property, I am going to send you an email. I will probably call you if I know you've never done it before. And I will walk you through it from start to finish, the whole entire process. I am with you until the end because I want you to be able to close, and I want it to be smooth, and I don't want you to be stressed out. Now, if it's someone else and you're having issues with the listing broker, this happens all the time. Other people call me that are not our listings. Agents call me all the time, and I don't mind. I really don't. I swear. I'm not joking. Just call me and ask me, and I will help you. You might have to forward me some stuff, but I will help you if you're having issues. You shouldn't. Usually, most of them are okay. Most of them. You're going to complete your checklist on HUDhomestore.com. So when you log in, you're going to go to accepted awarded bids, and then it'll show you your property, and you want to click the checklist. It's a very easy process. Thank God we don't have to wait at the mail post office anymore. Yay. Or UPS, or run into FedEx at 7:30 at night to overnight our contract and pay money to overnight a contract, which I hated. Yep. And I was like, ugh, we can now go digital because we're in the 21st century. Good job. So like I said, log into HUD Home Store. You're going to go to the checklist. You're going to verify the purchaser and the title company. That's most of the things that people miss. They upload their stuff and they're like, but Melissa, it's not saying that I verified the checklist. I'm like, click the 2 boxes. Look at your purchaser, and this is when, if you put the bid in wrong, just fix it. Whether you mistyped the number, whatever, just fix it. And you need to verify the title company. There's 2 little check marks, and then you're going to upload your lender letter or proof of funds. On all of our properties, if you're not sure, because they're a little bit picky on the lender letter, they want like everything certain, you can't have this worded. I have a pre-approval guidelines on all of our properties, and I will send you one if you want one. I've been using it for years because it's very simple and very easy. You can just shoot it over to the lender and be like, this is what I need. And it's much easier for them too, because you know they're busy too. They don't have time to change a lender letter 50,000 times. And then you're gonna upload the broker money receipt. That's another thing. The earnest money, it does have to be certified funds, and so that means cashier's check or money order. You make it out to the title company, and you have to take it to the listing agent, which I know this takes so much time. Of course, they can't make everything easy. They have to make something difficult. Take it to the broker. They're gonna sign. They're gonna give you a copy of it, and then you upload that as well. Which, if they're doing their job right, we are supposed to send it to them so they know that we have it too. So there's like a double. They have like 2. The bottom of the screen, this is what you want it to say. changes say successfully, you have verified the checklist. If it does not say that, and you cannot come to my office, I will ask you, give me your login. I will not keep your stuff, and I will go in there and I will figure out what's wrong. I do that all the time too. Oh, it's so much easier. They're like clear across town. They don't drive over east side. The east side contract. So that is generated by Kronos. No, we do not generate your east side contract, and I don't even get to see it until you are completely done. So if you have questions, I'm gonna have to ask you to forward it to me. I have most everything memorized, but some things I don't. So it comes through you DocuSign. The agent will review it first. The agent literally doesn't sign anything. The only thing you might put in is the marital status of the buyer. That is all you do, which is very odd. I feel like the agent should sign, but they don't. The broker does sign. If your broker does not look at their email, just be like, hey, I have a contract in your email. Can you please sign it? After the broker, the buyers will sign, and it will be in the order that you put on the bid. So if you put Tom first and Jane second, Tom's gonna get it first. Once Tom signs, then Jane's gonna get it. Very simple. You can still pull up the contract in your email after you sign it. So if they wanna go, if they're, old fashioned and they wanna go page by page, you can still do that. So don't get like nervous. They're like, well, I'm not gonna answer the questions. Can you pull up the contract? You'll be able to. Title company will then receive it. Most of the title companies, they check their email all the time, so they'll sign. You shouldn't have a problem with that. And then Kronos will sign, and then everyone gets a copy. So I literally don't see anything until we get to here. So if you need help, bear with me. HUD inspections. When you're doing a HUD inspection, it's a little bit different than a regular home inspection, as you know. Owner occupants, they get a 15-day period from when the date of the contract is signed. So that's when HUD signs it. That is when it starts, and it's 15 days, not business days, 15 days. Now, if you do the inspection on the 16th day, they're probably not gonna kill you. But if you wait till the 30th day, they're probably gonna be like, why'd you wait so long? So generally they don't pay attention to it that much, but they don't wait forever to do the inspection. You have to request the utility turn on from the field service management. That's a must. If you want the utilities turned on to do your home inspection, you have to ask for permission. And I'll tell you right now, if the property condition report states, hey, there's a plumbing problem, they're gonna be like, no water. And guess what? You get no water, you get no gas. Because obviously if they turn the gas on and there's no water, your water heater will blow up. So, yeah. So then sometimes you only get electrical. And again, if buyers are uncomfortable with that, right then and there, they can cancel. 99.9% the buyers that are owner occupants always get their earnest money back. I have not yet gotten to the point where the buyer did not get their earnest money back. They do. Investors are a little bit different. Investors, if the property is insured with FHA financing, meaning that the repairs they deemed are under the $10,000 mark, they are not going to get their earnest money back. So that's another thing to tell your investors. Hey guys, are you sure you want this? Like, I don't know, they think investors should know things. I don't know why, but they do. But if it's uninsured, meaning that they think that the repairs are deemed over the $10,000 mark, they can get half their earnest money back if they cancel. A lot of people don't know that, so make sure your investors know. There's the utility activation form link. It's the buyer, it's basically you're signing the okay for the buyer. So you literally type the buyer's name and the buyer just gets an email. And once you can only turn the utilities on for 72 hours, excluding weekends. So I usually tell people, hey, if you turn the utilities on from Thursday, then keep them on till Monday, because they don't count the weekend. Then you have them on for a longer extended time. Also, I tell people if you're going to have an inspection, you want to turn the utilities on the day before, and because if you have any hiccups with the utilities, it's not on the day of inspection. So that's always a very good cue, is to turn the utilities on the day before your inspection. Let's see, what else did you do? Let the appraiser know, or the lender, obviously, so the lender can let the appraiser know the utilities are on. A lot of lenders want the utilities on for the appraiser, and since you can only have it on for that mark, instead of having to turn them off and then the buyer have to turn them back on and you have all these fees that are included to that, Tell them when it's on so they can go out at the same time. Try to coordinate that, try to help. Communication is key when you're doing this. And I was just lost my train of thought because I thought of something else. It's okay, it'll come back to me. Investors, again, they can inspect, but they're not guaranteed their earnest money back. So just remember that for your investors. Do's and don'ts with HUD homes. Just be organized. Being organized is the best thing that you can possibly be. And then honestly, we have a policy. We're not going to show you a home unless you have a pre-approval letter or you have cash. But other companies are different, but I will tell you right now, don't place that bid unless you have a pre-approval letter or they have cash in the bank, because you have 2 business days to get HUD everything, and it's way easier if you already have all your ducks in a row. A lot of buyers won't like that, but I'm like, get over it. No. But, you know, you don't want to waste their time, and you don't want them to waste your time either. So having all of that beforehand is usually better. Agents need to make sure they remain with the buyers at all times at the property. So if for some reason you can't be there, ask one of your agents in the office, broker, someone, be with the buyer while they're there. I will tell you right now, inspectors that already have an E-key, they're fine, because they have an E-key, and so they're recognized with WAR that they're fine. But if they don't have an E-key, you should probably be there. Now, do we know if you're there or not? No, but just be mindful you are on government property. They like everyone to be there that's licensed. No inspections until the agent has permission from the FSM to turn the utilities on. This is very important. You do not want to mess this up, because this could get your broker's NAID license revoked. So just make sure you're doing everything like you should. I'll be honest with you, Cronus is not as strict as when Home Tells back in the day. Whew, I still remember Brenda. She was hardcore. She would send out threatening emails, and I'd be scared of her. Again, no repairs or modifications before closing. That means anything. Like, I've been where we gone in, because we do weekly inspections on them, and I go in and like there's new carpet on the floor, and I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, stop. Well, closing's next week. Yes, and you'll be in very big trouble, because the FSM's going to notice and they will report you. I don't want to report you. Don't do that. And don't move any personal items in before closing. This right here, you don't want to do, period, because guess what? The field service management, they will probably take your stuff, like, to be honest with you. And so many people have keys to the property. The listing broker has keys to the property. The field service management has keys to the property. So think of all the people that have keys to the property. You don't want your stuff in there. No, 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 no. And that comes to my next point. Change the locks after closing. I don't tell them just to be nasty and tell them to change the locks before closing. I'm telling you for your own good, because I'll tell you right now, I've had some that they was investor buyers, they didn't change the locks, and they went in and put all new upgrades in them, and then somehow they had like nice chandeliers and everything, and they all got stolen because they didn't change the property. And I'm like, everyone has keys, okay? I'm like, we've changed keys so many times throughout the years, because so many people have keys, and you do not want that to happen. So change the locks after. That is all I have for today. You said questions later?
Yeah.
Perfect. And Michelle is up. Yay!
Okay, pause it. I don't care. You want them to answer? You want her to answer questions now on hers?
Why don't we let me do mine, because some of the questions might kind of
They're gonna